Hi boys and girls, welcome back to another STEAM lesson. We are doing our final lesson all about wind, and today we're really going to focus on building structures that can stand up to really strong winds. So we're going to read this book. It's called Look at That Building, and it's a first book of structures. So when we're looking at this book, I want you to be thinking about all of the things that the kids notice in the different buildings that they look at, because you're going to get the chance to build your own building later.
Look at That Building, a first book of structures by Scott Ritchie. Buildings all around us. You've probably noticed that your house has floors, walls, and windows. But did you know it might have a foundation, a frame, and beams too? Let's go for a walk with our 5 friends to find out about how buildings are put together. Home plans. Sally's dad has built her a tree house. Her friends have come over to see it. What a great little building! Everybody is having fun except Max. He can't climb up to join them. Maybe Max needs his own house. Let's go to the library. We can get a book on how to build a doghouse. And we can look at some buildings on the way. Firm foundation. Yuli thinks that such a deep hole must have taken a lot of digging. Martin is watching the construction workers pour concrete. This foundation is going to be very strong. A foundation is the lowest part of a building. It keeps the rest of the building stable by anchoring it securely in the ground. The taller a building is, the deeper and larger its foundation has to be. Some skyscrapers' foundations go 4 floors underground. A place to stand. Next stop, the library. Pedro is making sure the floor is solid enough to hold all these books. A floor is the surface we stand on in a building. Floors are made of a very durable material so that they last a long time. They could be made from many different materials, including wood, stone, dirt, and concrete. Look up. As they leave the library, Nick notices the beams above his head. They are wide and very long. How many beams can you see? A beam is usually a long, thick piece of wood, stone, or metal. It is very rigid so that it can support floors, ceilings, and other building parts. You can't always see the beams, but most structures have them. The first beams were probably made from tree trunks. Up the wall. Yuli looks in a window at her school. She read at the library that walls do more than just hold up the blackboard. Walls do many important things. They divide a building into rooms and keep the outside outside. They also help keep the roof up. Super shapes. Sally has been to the city hall before. She remembers the dome. Look how big it is. 3 shapes are used in a lot of buildings because they are so strong. An arch is a structure that is curved at the top. The arch shape helps spread the weight around. A dome is also curved at the top and helps spread the weight of a structure. It can cover a large space with few supports. A triangle is the strongest shape. Lots of weight can be added to a triangle and it won't change its shape. Cool columns. The columns of this bus shelter remind Yuli of trees. They remind Nick of the columns on his porch at home. Columns are used to hold up parts of a structure, such as the roof. Because they support so much weight, they have to be made of sturdy materials. A roof over our heads. It's raining. Time to find somewhere dry. Martin suggests they go back to the tree fort. Pedro is glad they will have a roof protecting them. A roof is the top covering of a building. It shelters the building from the weather. Back to the tree house. The gang is happy to be back at the cozy tree house. Max is still downstairs, keeping dry on the porch. Soon he will have a cozy house of his very own. I can't wait to start building Max's dog house. I'm glad we found this book at the library. Now we know where to start. Let's start with the foundation.
We learned so many important things from this book that we can use to help us when we're building our own buildings. We want to think about how we can build a strong structure, a structure that even if we put our wind on full power will not blow over. So I want to draw your attention to a couple of things that they talked about in the book that we should make sure that we have in a building that we build. So the first thing is down here at the bottom, a foundation. If you've ever seen a building being built anywhere, you've probably seen that they dig a big hole and they pour a lot of concrete in. That's to build a really strong foundation. And then on top of that, they put a floor. So when you're building your building, your foundation and your floor might end up being the same thing, but whatever it is, you want to make sure that it's really strong and sturdy. Next, they talked about how they use columns and walls to build strong sides. So we've got walls on the sides, and then you can use walls to divide the room. If you're building a really big building, you're going to want to put columns in there to help hold up the roof. So we have beams that go across on top of the walls, and they hold everything in that structure really steady. And then on top of that, we've got a roof. So they talked about a triangle roof, but also some other roof shapes. All of the ones that they talked about in the book are really strong, but the triangle shape is probably the easiest to build, and they did say that it was the strongest, so that's why I put it here. Now I want to look at this box because you can see this box is standing really steady. When I turn my fan all the way on, it's not moving at all. This box is a really good idea of what we might want to make when we're looking at building a structure. So the foundation would be this bottom part of the box. It is a rectangle, so it's a really strong shape, and that rectangle shape goes all the way up the box. So these would be considered the walls, these sides would be considered the walls. And then this box for a roof, it just has a flat top. So that's not really the strongest top, and it's not even connected to each other. So we probably would want to think about how we could build a stronger structure on the top to help it withstand strong winds and other weather. Your challenge this week is to build structures out of different things you can find in your home. So I want you to find a material that you think could make a great structure and think about what we talked about here and what you heard about in the book and build that structure so that it could withstand a strong wind. Once you finish with that one, see if you can find a different material and build another building. Before you know it, you might have a whole city of different structures that you can test out. Then I want you to get a strong wind. A fan is great. If you don't have a fan, you can just blow really hard on it and see what happens. And I want you to see if any of your structures fall over. If they do fall over, I want you to think about why. Why wasn't that structure strong enough to withstand a strong wind? If they don't fall over, then you can pat yourself on the back and see why they did work. So I am really looking forward to seeing your city of structures that you make. You can take a video of you trying to blow them over, or you can take a picture of them and send them to your teacher, and she will send them on to me. I'll see you next week.